Before I start painting, one of the things I like to do is use this nifty product called Gloves in a Bottle, and what it does is it protects your hands from all these solvents and cadmium colors, flake white. A lot of artists use gloves, but this is a really convenient alternative. So let's get going. Now, a pear is generally the color green, but there are many colors in this pear. There's some green in it, there is some blue-green, there's some light green, there's some warm green, there's blue paint in it, there's red paint in it, and we're going to try to not paint that stuff into it. Although there are some students that I've had that actually paint the mistake paints into their painting that they see on here, which I think we'll avoid to do today. All right, let's figure out what color this is. We're going to just draw the shape of the pear. With the actual color that I'm going to block it in. And I'm just going to block it in with just one solid color green. So I'm going to mix the green, and I'm going to, well, first thing I do is just wipe some of these colors off of here and keep my palette a little bit cleaner. And this is a good, whoops, this is a good thing to do from time to time. You know what, maybe we'll do the pear sitting down. How's that? There you go. It's good to wipe your palette from time to time because it can get really, really muddy, and then you're wondering, like, well, how come I can't get these colors right? And that's because you never cleaned your palette, and the same goes with the brushes. Believe me, when I get really into a painting, sometimes I am so into it, I don't even think about what my palette looks like. And I look at my painting and it's starting to look muddy, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? And I realize that I didn't clean my brush and I didn't clean my palette. So it's a good idea just to keep things, you know, somewhat, just stop every once in a while and just, you know, clean things off and not do with that. Good thing it's not one of my favorite brushes. Okay, back to mixing green. Again, we used yellow, one of the yellows and one of the blues to mix variations of green. And again, you can just go like that. Is that close? That's kind of close. So I'm going to block in. Block in is a term you're going to hear every artist use over and over and over again, every teacher, every instructor, because and you know what, I think I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. Blocking in is getting the colors down, your object down, and the color filled in the object. That's the basic color that the apple is, or in this case, the pear. I'm going to put some cerulean blue right in that yellow and start to get something close to the yellow that's on the edge of the pear. Now I'm mixing my colors right on the canvas, so instead of mixing up a darker green, I'm going to take the cerulean blue and mix it with this green to get a darker green, which is the colors that we have here towards the bottom of the pear. Again, the pear is sitting on the ground. Now, there's a lot of blue in this thing, which I just noticed. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to put, and notice I'm using the cerulean. Cerulean has a little bit of green in it. It's not as blue as the ultramarine is. So mixing it with the yellow gives me more of that pear look, that pear color. And right now this is really flat. So I'm going to try to put a little bit of the lighter yellow towards the back part. and add some white to that up here. There's a little bit of a highlight coming down there. That's pretty bad looking. Let's see if we can fix this thing. Sometimes the way to fix an object that's not working out, although the colors are working out, but the object itself, is by painting the background. And I think in this instance, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint the wood table, because this is a valid color and object too. In fact, in nature, you're going to be seeing a lot of this wood color. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of the yellow, some of the white, and some of the red, and maybe a touch of the green. And I don't know, that's kind of maybe a little more red, but put a little more white in there. Don't forget, white's a cool color, so it adds blue. Now, I'm going to paint this around the pear. The table color. And what's interesting when you do this is that it really enhances the color, the green and the yellows and the colors of the pear. And this is called, not just background, but it's called negative space. And negative space is, in color, in mixing colors, is just as important as the positive space. The positive space being the green and the pear. I'm looking at this pear pretty dead sideways. Okay, so you see how putting that color around can make a little bit of a difference? And in fact, if I wanted this to pop a little more, the green, the light green part, I would consider making it a little darker back there. And because we're artists, we can cheat and we can do anything we want. That's what's so great with color. And I'm just going to mix up kind of a darker, I'm using alizarin crimson and a little bit of the blue and a little bit of the white, a little bit of the yellow, making kind of this little mud kind of color. And I'm going to put it back here just to show you how you can modify the object by playing with the color around it. And last but not least, one of the things I like to do is sometimes bring in the background color into your subject matter, in this case the pear, you know, a little bit into some of the shadows. Sometimes that adds, you know, an interesting dimension.